Hello everyone, my name is Emily Bradshaw and today I'm going to be giving a presentation about student portfolios for first grade. Since I'm a first grade teacher, I have created a portfolio that I would use in my own first grade classroom. In this presentation, I'm going to discuss the items that I would include in this portfolio, and I'm going to discuss the objectives of these items, why I am including them specifically. I'll also, at the end of this presentation, discuss how these items can be assessed. Also through this presentation, I'm going to be using my voice to describe the items on each slide. Sometimes you'll see my face and sometimes I'll take it away just so you can see the writing on the slide. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start out by asking what exactly is a portfolio. According to researcher and writer Craig Mertler, a portfolio is a purposeful, organized collection of student work that can be used to describe a student's efforts, progress, or achievement in a subject area. So unlike other forms of assessment, portfolios help reflect real-world learning because they allow students to present their best work and reflect on the work that they have already completed. And this is a skill that's going to benefit individuals of all ages and occupations. So there's a first grade teacher and portfolio specialist. Her name is Autumn Zeminski, and she wrote an article about her use of portfolios in the classroom, and she said that there were 5 essential characteristics that she believes every portfolio should have. First, she believes that portfolios should be quick and easy to help keep students' data organized. You should be able to open them up and find what you're looking for. You shouldn't have to spend a lot of time analyzing or searching for your information. Next, portfolios need to be usable by the teacher and the student. Third, students need to be active in creating them. We're going to talk about this more later in the presentation, but students need to play an important role in picking out the samples that are going to be in their portfolio. Fourth, portfolios must make report cards and conferences more efficient. Not only are they showing student work, but they're going to help teachers explain that work in a much better way to parents. And finally, portfolios are a valuable resource for parents. This is one of our biggest takeaways that we're going to be talking about today. But instead of just receiving a numerical grade on a test or an assignment, portfolios really allow parents to see the gradual progression of their child and their goals, and they never have to question where their child stands with their progress in their academics. So for my portfolio that I would use in my first grade classroom, I have some specifics. First of all, this would be for first grade, but because I teach all subjects, I want to make this portfolio include those core subjects that we're addressing every day. So in my portfolio, I would include reading, writing, and math samples. This portfolio would also be used over the course of half a school year or maybe a semester. We would create our goals in August and we work to complete those goals in December. But you could even use this format again and create new goals in January to complete by the end of the school year in May. So the first item that I would have my students include in their portfolio is their personal goals. I would set aside time to meet with each of my students individually and help them create their goals for the semester. Then I would have them write their goals out and put them at the front of their portfolio. The objective of this is to help my students have a continual reminder of what they are working towards. Without having those goals, you don't know what you're working towards, and so this is a very crucial element to include in any portfolio. The next section that I would have my students include in their portfolio is an area called my glows and my grows. This is an area where students are going to document their successes or their glows. This could be examples of work where they have met their goals or they've shown great improvement towards their goals. And I would also in this section have my students address their grows. And grows are areas where they still have a little bit of improving to do. This could be examples of work that they'd like to improve on, or maybe even just reflective comments that my students have had about different ways that they can improve their work. But the objective for including these items in my student portfolios is to allow my students to reflect on their work. The whole point of these portfolios is to help with student reflection, and so allowing them to actually have these areas where they can comment on that is extremely important. So the final section of my student portfolios are going to be actual examples of student work. This could be anything from reading comprehension questions, checklists for writing, maybe an addition page to show their understanding of math facts. It's important to have a wide range of student work in your portfolio, and it might not be possible to include a sample of every single skill or every single topic that was addressed in the school year. But as long as you are showing a variety of work that represents their growth toward their specific goals, then you are fulfilling the purpose of your student portfolio. And so the objective and the point of including all of this is to show student growth and in meeting their goals. So while other forms of assessment are often created by teachers, it's important for students to give input in what assignments will be included in their portfolio. And allowing students to give input on what assignments are included is what makes this type of assessment reflective. When students have a say in the creation of their portfolios, it allows them to look back at their previously completed work, and it helps them analyze their areas of strength and weakness. So teachers can guide their students by asking questions. These questions might be, which sample helps shows progress towards your reading goal? Do you have an excellent piece of writing that you would like to share with your parents and other teachers in your portfolio? Any type of question like this where teachers can guide their students in picking out assignments for the portfolio, but ultimately students are the ones that get to decide what are examples of their best work. So while students certainly give input as to what items are included in their portfolios, it's also important for teachers to give their students feedback on completed work. Every classroom assignment does not necessarily have to be taken for a grade, but it is important for teachers to always give feedback in some form or another. Of course, with grading, you might use a rubric, you might make notes on an assignment, but even just having a brief discussion with your students and giving them some verbal feedback is really excellent for them as well. And students might not choose all of these assignments to include in their portfolio. You're not going to have every assignment in there, but it's still important to give feedback on all of these assignments so students will know if they are progressing towards their goals or not. So there is a portfolio handbook that was released by the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and it states that there are many ways to evaluate or assess portfolios. This handbook says that some portfolios are simply graded whether they were completed or not. And It also points out that some teachers might feel a need to assign a graded value to their portfolios that helps reflect whether the students have met their learning objectives or not. Really, it is up to the teacher, the preference of the teacher, and the needs of the student as to how portfolios would be assessed. I know for the students in my current first grade classroom, they wouldn't need that numerical grade to help meet their goals or show understanding. Simply having maybe a mini conference with them at the end of the unit would be enough to help my students understand where they are and what they need to work on and if they've met their goals. So just to wrap up our discussion about student portfolios, one thing that I always like to remember is that portfolios are a tool for students, teachers, and parents. It's almost like a form of communication that allows all of these parties to work together and see progress for a specific goal. So it's really there to help everybody involved in the education process. And while it might seem like a daunting task at first to start using portfolios in your classroom, it really pays off in the long run because it teaches students the valuable reflection skills that they need and the critical thinking skills that they need, and it helps you see the progression of their growth throughout the year. So these are the references that I used to find the information for this presentation. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.